Hey everybody, it's Bert here with the Tuning School. Today we're going to be talking about dynos. Buying a dyno is a really exciting experience, but as you can see, it can be a bit overwhelming. In this video, we're going to talk about the tips and tricks we've learned over the years installing several different dynos from several different manufacturers. Hopefully it gives you the information that you need to make things a little bit easier. So when it comes time to buy your dyno, one of the first things you want to figure out is if you're going to put the dyno in the ground or above the ground. This seems like kind of a strange first step, however it's information that you want to approach the manufacturer with because it's going to determine what features come with your dyno, as well as it may limit you on certain models of dyno that you'd be looking to buy. Now, certain things to consider with this, whether you're going to put it in ground or above ground. If it's above ground, you're going to incur the extra cost of a 4-post lift or a ramp system from the dyno manufacturer to get the car at the level of the dyno. If you're going in ground, it's going to cost money to dig the pit and to fill it with concrete and so on. Also to consider, if you're going to go in ground, do you own the building that you currently reside in? If you don't, your landlord might not be too happy, but you leaving a giant concrete pit where you used to rent his building. So those are things you want to consider before you actually approach the dyno manufacturer because it's going to be determining factors in where you move forward. After you know if you're going to do above ground or in ground, given that your current setup, you're going to want to decide what your budget is. So you need to know exactly how much money you want to spend when approaching the dyno manufacturer. This works just like buying cars. Before you know it, you go to the dealership, you buy a car that's fully optioned out, and you spend $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 more than you expected. Buying dynos can happen the same way just as quickly. So you want to make sure you know exactly how much money you're going in with, how much money you either have or how much you want to finance or so on. So that way you don't end up spending too much and over leveraging yourself. Also, when you're considering how much you want to spend, you should look at what you're going to charge once you get the dyno installed. So you should take a survey of the market price in your area. So what are other guys with dynos in your area charging? What's the next closest guy to your area charging for dyno tunes? Based on that information, you can kind of determine what you want your dyno fees to be, and it'll give you an exact number at which you know you can pay your dyno off. So for example, if you're going to charge $500 per dyno tune, and your dyno costs $50,000, once you've tuned 101 vehicles, you've now paid off the dyno and you're starting to make money. So those are things to consider because you can give your company or you yourself actual goals to shoot for, making sure that you get this thing paid off and you get it making money for you as fast as you possibly can. So now that you know if you're going to put your dyno in ground or above ground, and you know what exactly your budget is, you want to approach the dyno manufacturers next. You want to figure out which dyno manufacturer is right for you. In our opinion, the easiest way to do this is at the big industry trade shows. These are going to be shows like SEMA and PRI. Most of the dyno manufacturers will be there, and you can pick their brains every single day to figure out which company is going to be best for you. You may also consider going to their facilities and touring them as well, because that'll give you a good idea of what dynos they have and what's going to work best for you in your application. Now, once you've decided on a manufacturer and a dyno model, you may consider asking the manufacturer if secondhand dynos are an option. Sometimes these manufacturers know when dynos are coming up for sale in the country, and they can actually get you set up with a used dyno. Now that's nice because you as the conscious buyer, the cost-conscious buyer, can actually save a little bit of money getting in with a lower cost on a used dyno. So now that you have everything lined out, you've actually purchased your dyno, the next thing you want to consider is freight and shipping. Now this is going to be something that's got to add additional cost to your dyno. You have a couple different options. You could drive to the dyno manufacturer yourself sometimes and actually pick up your dyno. However, this can be costly on your end because you have to have the truck and the trailer and the equipment to move it and so on. More often than not, you're actually going to pay a freight company to move the dyno from wherever it's located to your facility. There's going to be some costs involved with this, so you want to make sure that you take that into consideration when actually purchasing the dyno. Also, you want to very closely monitor where that freight truck is at because you're going to have certain equipment there and ready to go when that freight truck actually shows up at your facility. So you want to keep very close tabs on what exactly is going on. So now that your dyno's on its way to your facility, you may want to consider building your dyno pit if you decide you want to put it in the ground. In fact, you may actually consider building the pit before that even happens. You pretty much can get started on that as soon as you know what model dyno you want to go with. The model's important because you need to know the exact dimensions of the pit that you need to build. You don't want to have to build that pit twice because it can get expensive. Now, when it comes to actually building the pit, we suggest that you actually contract someone to do this for you. In our opinion, it's a little bit involved because it needs big equipment and pouring concrete and things of that nature. So we find it easier to pay someone because they probably will do a better job than you can. Things you want to consider as far as features of your dyno pit is how you're going to get electrical to it and how you're going to perform drainage, water drainage that is. So electrical is important because the dyno is going to need power to actually run. We've seen systems where pipe is laid in the floor to actually run the wires from the wall over to the dyno. That's kind of a unique system, but your contractor could tell you what's going to work best in your application. Water drainage can be important because if you live in an area where it's going to rain a lot or you're susceptible to flooding or something of that nature, you'll want to make sure that that water, if it ends up in the pit, drains itself and doesn't just pool up, essentially submerging your dyno. So these are all things you want to consider when building the dyno pit, but you probably want to get that done before the dyno shows up. So as soon as the dyno shows up, you can get it in the ground and running as soon as possible. So regardless of whether or not your dyno is going in ground or above ground, you're going to need a forklift and it's going to need to be the right size. So each of these dyno models are going to have a very specific weight. That's going to require you to get a very specific forklift. Now you can contact the manufacturer of the dyno directly to figure out exactly what forklift is right for your application. Now the important part is to have that forklift on site when the freight truck actually shows up. The reason for this is those freight guys typically will charge you hourly if they have to wait around for you to offload that dyno. So having a forklift there is going to make the process a lot faster for everyone. With the dyno off of the actual truck, inside your facility, if you're installing it above ground and are going to use a 4-post lift. This is the point, once the dyno is installed, that you typically are going to install the 4-post lift. We find that to be the easiest, dyno first, then the 4-post lift. We find it best to contact companies in your area that will not only sell you the lift, but install it themselves, because it just kind of makes the process easier for everyone. So that's going to be your best bet for actually getting your 4-post lift installed after the dyno has been set in your facility. So as you near the completion of your project, one of the last things that you're going to do is have an electrician come out and actually wire everything up. So he's going to handle the power, main distribution power for the dyno itself, and a lot of times they can also wire your 4-post lift if that's applicable to your situation. A helpful hint when wiring that 4-post lift is actually to add a 4-plug outlet on the front of it, because we find it helpful for plugging in dyno fans and things of that nature. So you can do little things like that. He could set up power distribution, just normal plugs, anywhere where you may need them. Now, after you get that done, it's just a matter of setting up the software that's actually going to run your dyno. This is going to vary pretty drastically depending on which dyno manufacturer you go with, and if you needed help with it, you can reach out to the manufacturer directly, because normally they're more than happy to actually help you out. And very last but not least is to actually get trained on how to use this tool that you've just bought. So it's an awesome tool. It can do a lot of things for you. It can make you a lot of money, but if you're not really up to date and fluent on how to use it, it could be a little bit of a headache for you. So a lot of times you want to reach out to the dyno manufacturer directly, because they can actually offer you some training on how to use these really powerful tools. Something to keep an eye on in the future is here at the Tuning School, we're working on a project where we're actually going to offer training for certain dyno manufacturers on how to use their tools as well, so that way you can add that on to the normal tuning training that you're getting in addition. So you want to watch for that in the future, because it could help you and your business greatly. I hope everyone enjoyed this video and that you were able to find some helpful information that you can use when buying your very own dyno. For more high-performance tuning knowledge, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as follow us on social media, and as always, stay tuned.